Sargent seat for the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro Explorer, and just got it in. So we're gonna put it together, put it on the bike, and see what it looks like. This is what you get. Got it on sale, 20% off, the heated version. I wish that Corbin would have made a seat. I have not owned a Sargent before, so we'll see what this looks like. This is pretty good quality, it seems. It's a lot lighter than the Corbins I've had in the past. It's like factory weight almost. It is a really light seat, so that's a big plus. I really like the material they use. It's like a carbon fiber looking leather. I'm not sure exactly what the material is, but it's really nice how they did the carbon there, and then the flat black kind of around the edges there. And then this one hooks up factory to your seat. So that looks really sharp in my opinion. Let's see what else we got in here. We got instructions, it looks like. Stop, warning, all that. We'll read that in a minute. We got a ton of fire material, so that's always fun. My receipt. For you guys that are not paying the 20% off, it was $721 with the 20% off. Front and rear seat. So that is very cool. It's also about $400 less than the Corbin was gonna be, just for the front seat, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I actually held out and held out and held out and held out for the Sargent seat, thinking that Corbin made a seat for the Rally Pro Explorer. They don't. They only make one for the Rally Pro. So you're stuck with this if you want an aftermarket seat. This is the rear. Matches pretty nice. It's got the carbon fiber here. This is also equally as light as the factory seat. This is, I really like that color scheme on there. So that's what you get in the box. A bunch of old paper, a bunch of other crap that we're not going to use. Maybe we'll throw it in the fire. That's about the biggest uses we're going to get. The downside, I think, to this is that Sargent wants you to use your factory mounting hardware on the front seat. And for me, that sucks because I hate the mounting hardware on the Rally Pro seat. I think it's flimsy. It's only a matter of time before that rubber dries out and it breaks completely. Let me let me get that off of that bike and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I got the factory seat off of my Rally Pro. And this is what I'm talking about. You guys can see like this rubber band right here. I hope they're gonna make a replaceable piece for this soon, because you stretch it, you bring it back in there. When it's in the low setting, it has a ton of slack in here and it's not tight. So when you go to put this into the bracket on your Rally Pro, it's just got a bunch of slack there. So when you pull it out, it's just, it doesn't feel firm to me. And the same thing with the back, right? Put it from the high position down in the low position, which I do often. You don't think, oh, well, once it's on high, that's where you're gonna have it. Or once it's on low, that's where you're gonna have it. That's not true. I put the high setting on when I'm traveling on the bike, and then when I go off-road, I tend to lower my seat down. And that gives me just enough ground clearance and maneuverability around the bike to really manhandle the bike around the trails. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these brackets off, we're gonna put them on the Sargent seats. Super simple. Also, while this is in my hand, I'll let you all know that the Sargent is lighter than the factory seat. Not by much, a couple pounds maybe, but it's a noticeable weight difference here. And you can see the difference in shapes between the two. There's a huge platform difference, and there's also the profile difference. The big thing is the way that your seat is made on the Sargent. It's see if we can pick it up this way, but on the Tiger's factory seat, this is not really dished, right? It's more almost convex, and for me, the foam is so soft that it really pinches on the back of my thighs. When you go to the Sargent seat, you can tell that this is a dished seat and it's wider. So, and it's also a lot firmer feeling. So hopefully what's gonna happen is the seat stops pinching on the back of my legs and it makes for a more comfortable ride. I'm also hoping that instead of the seat pushing me down into the crotch area and crushing my balls every time I ride this bike, that it kind of puts me at more of a back angled slope. So anyways, that's what we're hoping for. I'm gonna go ahead and get this hardware changed and I will be right back. All right, so we got the hardware switched out. This is, it was super simple, guys. There's nothing really much to talk about here. All we did here was 4 bolts for the front bracket, 4 bolts for the rear bracket. Also, I forgot, but I did not get the rear heat option with the Sargent seat. And that's because I don't care about my rear passenger. You know, I very rarely have one, and when I do, their butt can be cold. I don't know what to tell them, you know? So here we go, man. Let's put this guy on. And I actually hate putting, and it does not fit. All right, what is going on here? The front. Why does that not look like it fits in there? There it goes. I think. Man, that does not look like that's right at all.
Absolutely hate.
All right, so what's going on is this front area here seems to be narrower than the width of my tank. And that has me questioning a lot of things right now. All right, there it goes. Front appears to be on. All right, so that's the high seating, the high option on the seat. That's really weird. I'm gonna bring the camera around here in a minute, but what I can tell you is that the front part of the seat, right here, seems to be narrower a little bit than the factory seat, and definitely narrower than the tank. So the front up here is definitely rubbing, and I don't know if I'm gonna ride with the seat until I get some kind of protective film on there to protect the tank. That is definitely worth noting because that's some crap. That's some crap. They should, I'm sure that maybe it's that way for the Rally Pro Edition, the non-Explorer. But for some reason I decided I needed the frickin' tanker. If I had to do it again, I don't think I would buy the tanker edition. Man, that looks good though. That looks good. Oh my gosh. Let me get this guy up on the center stand because that feels completely different. Oh. God dang, it's so heavy. Oh. Wow. That's going to be a game changer. I get some protective film on that right there. Oh my God, guys. Tell you what though, it doesn't feel stable. Like it wiggles. That's a weird feeling. Let me get a close up here. All right. I don't know if you guys can. That does not feel right.
It doesn't feel like. The seat feels loose, like really loose. It's weird. I don't.
It's in there. I mean, it's hooked up. But there is a lot of side to side in this. Let me try it on the low setting. We'll see what happens.
This is gonna be even harder to get in here. The low setting still wiggles like that. I don't know what's going on.
Let me take a look at this. I'll be right back. All right, guys. What I found is that my seat looks like these little rubber things are kind of falling apart. So I'll be calling Triumph to see if we can get that under warranty, because that's obviously a shame, right? So yeah, that's why I got a little movement in my seat. It's rocking back and forth like that. It's actually quite a bit of movement. I'll put it back on here. The low setting doesn't seem to have as much movement, but the high setting, it definitely has movement in it. And yeah, that really sucks, man. I hope that's a replaceable part, you know? Yeah, I'm gonna bring the camera around and you guys can see what I'm talking about here. All right, so here's the movement. Part of it is because it feels like, anyways, if you look in there, see if I can get a clear shot here. See the movement in there? So, we're going to Triumph to see if I can fix that. All right, moving on. The other thing I can tell you is that the rear seat, it fits pretty good. You really got to tuck it in behind there and then really jam it in there to get it to lock. Tell you, it is a nice seat, and the back seat is really dished well. The comfort, man, it really dishes to your butt here, man. It really does. The leg angle seems to be the same as factory. The swaying back and forth in the seat, though, I mean, that's insane. I think I'll actually call Sargent and see what they think about that, because that might be enough for me not to want the seat. My factory seat doesn't do that, so that's where we're at. Narrowness is nice, and the last thing I'm going to tell you guys is head. This is what I was talking about. This here, these 2 points, they rub hard against this tank. If you don't put some kind of clear protective film around the bike here, it is going to eat that paint for sure. It's a nice seat, but it feels like it wants to fall off the bike. It really does. All right, I'm gonna call Sargent and I'll call you guys back. Okay, I figured it out now. What was happening is I got it on the low setting right now, and the it's a lot firmer. It doesn't feel like it's floating over the bike and not connected to the bike. And this is why. So on the low setting, these stoppers here on the Sargent seats don't touch the frame. I'm not sure if they do on the factory seat or not either, but I never noticed it before. But they don't touch the frame. So the seat is just hovering on the bracketry and it wobbles like that when you lean side to side. It can be a very, very disorienting feeling, I would imagine. So it's on the low setting and these rubber mounts do touch the frame. So it's very solid right now. I think what I might do is try and find maybe replaceable stoppers that are thicker or some kind of attachment to make them thicker. So when I lower it and raise it, it still feels pretty solid. Anyways, long distances, I'll probably go ahead and raise it to the high seat, but the low seat actually feels really, really good. The big thing for me is I didn't want, man, it feels so different. It changes the whole bike's ergonomics. It pushes you further back. It dips your ass down, but slopes your crotch up. So you're no longer being fed into a wiener muncher of a gas tank anymore. And honestly, man, this was a problem with my previous generation Explorer too. Until I got the Corbin, I really hated long distances on that bike because of the wiener monster here that just eats your junk up. So I feel better on the low setting than I do the high setting. That is for sure. Man, it changes the whole bikes. Like the whole bike feels different now. I can't wait to see what this feels like when I actually put some miles on it. I may go do that today. But anyways, it changed the whole bike. That's what I got for you guys, man. The Sargent bike, I got it on sale for $720. I think it's probably definitely worth $720. I don't know if the $1,100 price tag would. Just real quick, there's an intention here, like a canyon for your junk. Like, I don't know how to explain this without getting, edited or something from YouTube, man. There's like a channel for your junk to sit in almost. The shape, and it goes all the way back. The shape of the foam, I think, is really what's gonna make this seat an absolute pleasure to ride. So what did we learn here today, guys, right? Definitely want plastic coverings for your protective film for your gas tank because it will wear that paint out, I'm sure of it. High setting feels a little wobbly, but the low setting feels great. The rear seat, I would imagine, feels extremely good also. The carving of the foam feels amazing. The material feels amazing. I think it's a winner, man. I really do. It's a shame about the high setting and the pinching up here. But I guess sometimes, man, you just gotta live with what you got. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.